right, guys, Dream Championship Wrestling, episode number 22. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, sort of, before we get started here. We're not going to have any matches on this card. Or I shouldn't say on this card, on this episode. This is going to be something totally different. I'm going to give you some behind the scenes of how I keep track of things, what I track, how I match make, etc., etc. Trying to, I don't want to come with the same format every time. You hear me ramble on, you see me explain the card, we have the matches, we call it an episode. And I will tell you, stick around to the end. I debated on whether or not to do this. I was going to keep you in suspense. That's something I really like to do. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the card for the next event. And we've got title fights out the wazoo, including, and I mean, I've said it before, but you know what, I'm going to say it. This might be the greatest card that we've ever put on. And there is a new tag team in DCW, and I think it's going to blow your mind, and you're going to be fired up to see this card next Sunday, 6:05 p.m. Eastern Time. But for now, let's jump into this. And right off the bat, you're looking at my spreadsheet. I've shown this before, but didn't really go into too much detail. So as you see up here, and again, you can't see my cursor on the screen, but on the very top left, year 1, January, the very first card that we ever put on. And you can see when I highlight. So as you see here, we had Rhino against Bo Dallas, which has become quite common. Eric Rowan took on his buddy Braun Strowman in the first ever event. Claudio Castagnoli, he was not with Dream Championship Wrestling. We actually brought him in as an invite because we had, trying to think why we had to do that actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I didn't have only 7 guys. Oh, well, yes, I did have 7. So we started, if you've been around since episode 1, I can't even remember. We started with 6 wrestlers on the roster. We signed Charles Young. So that was our very first ever free agent signing. That put us into an odd number. So we brought Claudio on as an invite. And then our main event was Rob Van Dam and Bray Wyatt. So what I do is obviously make note of the year, the month, the event type, which pretty much is always normal. We've had one cage match event. And that's something I don't like with Fire Pro Promoter. You can't pick a singular match to be a cage match, let's say. Like the main event is a cage match. It's one, or it's all or nothing. So every match is a cage match, or they're all normal, etc., etc. So that I don't like. Match, which kind of is silly maybe, but just the order that they're in. This up here, the top one stands for the first card. So type of match is whether it's single or tag. I put a note like down here, DCW World Title. The type of style, mostly strong style with us, of course. Obviously the matchup. Now, I've converted this spreadsheet from what it was initially. I had 2 separate columns for each wrestler. This is Open Office Calculator. I don't have the Microsoft Office suite on my PC. I'm much more familiar with Microsoft Office. It's much easier for me to do calculations, pivots, etc., etc. But not quite as easy on Open Office Calc. So I wound up deciding to just put one column with both guys. This allows me to do this. So if I go to Filter, I'll do Contains, and let's just say Dallas. So now every Bo Dallas match will pull up. So if I need a quick synopsis or need to do this for another reason, which I will touch on in just a minute, and I have to do it all the time, unfortunately, we can take a look. So, I told you the program with Rhino. So Rhino and Bo Dallas opened on the first 2 cards. Rhino won both, one with a spear, one with an angled Liger bomb, both by pin. We've got the time. And then I have the match evals. So then actually, Rhino, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they've met 5 times. Rhino was 5-0. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention again here, right here, Bo Dallas in the June card. Picked up his first win, which was amazing. The crowd was not really going nuts. They were more in tears. It was tears of joy that Bo finally was able to get a win. We then brought in Ryuji in the last event, and Bo didn't get it done. And I do have to go through and do some cleanup. As you see, like there's a couple empty spots here on the side, so that's common as well. All right, and actually something I didn't notice, and this is troubling. Bo Dallas has lost 2 of his last fights by knockout. So, not good. Not good, Bo. All right, so let's get rid of this filter. And so I kind of explained everything. Then I also do keep the attendance in the money. So if we scroll over a little bit, and really I can just do this. I think if we do standard filter, if I condition equals, and I just put not empty. So this will give us a quick look at every card. And you can see we opened our very first event with 1702. And now we are pretty much always in the 15,000 type range, which is good. Keep track of income, expenses, profit, and assets. And you can just see the assets. We started with $186,000. A pittance, and we have now increased ourselves with $7.2 million in the bank. So, Dream Championship Wrestling on the rise. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump over to the Records tab. And obviously here is the records. I keep the records of everyone. I got this sorted. Well, actually, I don't have it sorted. I did at one point, and then I added the last 2 cards before I recorded this video. So we can see Braun Strowman, 13-3, no draws. And now that I've instituted some time limit draws, or some time limits to some of the matches, we will get a draw occasionally. And I think I will do that more and more. Popularity, this is not accurate. I'm sure a lot of these have changed. I haven't stayed on top of that, and I really don't need that. And then streak. This is helpful with ranking for me. Like Claudio Castagnoli, obviously he's the world champion. So when I do the rankings, and you will see the updated rankings on this episode as well, it's easy enough. He's on the top. But somebody like Matt Jackson, and look at that, out of nowhere. So Matt Jackson was 2-5 in Dream Championship Wrestling. He has suddenly worked himself on a 4-fight win streak to a 6-5 record. So very impressive. CM Punk quietly has put together 3 wins in a row. He was 500, now he's 6-3. So those things are quite helpful in rankings. They're quite helpful in matchmaking to me. Over here, this is actually just some scribble, if you will.
If you will.
This was me just kind of keeping track. I was like, what is the lineage of our world title? So the first ever title was Braun Strowman, and this was actually RVD. And then Brian Cage in the very next bout, took the belt from Braun Strowman. 0 defenses, that's what this means. Then in the very next bout, Rob Van Dam took the belt from Brian Cage. Rob is currently our record holder with 3 defenses. He defended against Brock, Rhino, and Claudio. Before, on the 4th attempt, Braun Strowman took the title from him. Braun had 1 defense against Eric Rowan. Braun then met Claudio. Claudio grabbed the title. And as you've seen as of late, Brian Cage and RVD both tried to pull the title from Claudio's hands and were unable to do so. So with one more defense, Claudio can tie the record and then look to beat it. Also, over here, I've got all of the invites that have ever come into Dream Championship Wrestling. So you see recently Sin Cara, free agent is what this stands for. He's 1-0. Goda, we talked about him before. He's 1-4, so we've had him in 5 times. And with his 1 win that he just had over Bo Dallas, he is on a 1-fight win streak. And then, of course, the organization that they're coming from. And I forget where we got Yamamoto, but we'll have to fill that in. And then finally, our very weak tag team scene. We have the Rotunda Brothers, Big Trouble, and the Orient Express. And we do have a new team. And actually, you know what? Here you go, guys. That is the moniker. That is the name of the new tag team, and I will unveil them here shortly. Okay, and then if we jump over to the work tab, this is just kind of where I'm scribbling notes and kind of piecing together the next card. So I jump back and forth between the records tab. Want to see like, oh my gosh, you know, this person's 1, 2 in a row, 3 in a row. So is this person, maybe this would be a perfect time for a contenders match. And just, you know, this person's lost 5 in a row. This guy's lost 3 in a row. Let's go ahead and just put them together. Let's get somebody on the right track. So that's kind of what I look for. I keep track of all the world champions currently. This is what we've got in our federation, in our world, if you will.
If you will.
Let's see here. And I did make notes on what I wanted to show you guys. Track matches, filters, records, matchups. Well, and we're right on track here. So we're on deciding on matchups. And I just really explained that. So as I mentioned on the next card, and you've already seen it, this is what we've got. We're going to open the night with Cody Rhodes against Charles Young. They have met once before. I'll try to get guys that haven't met as well. They've met once before back in March in a cage match. Cody Rhodes was able to escape first and take the victory. I will quickly touch on over here. These are guys with injuries or for some other reason that cannot compete on the card. So both Rotunda Brothers and Ricky Starks are unable to compete. The next match we're going to have 2 guys that have never met. Eric Rowan and Rhino are going to meet up. We have another never met matchup next. I mentioned like contenders matches and guys on a roll. We touched on both of these guys before. Matt Jackson, CM Punk. Probably the winner of that is going to get the next title shot. I will, and I love to branch off, so I hope you guys don't hate me for it. But I mentioned in the last card that I got an idea during the main event to have a small little 4-man tournament for the world title. We're going to do that. It's just going to start on the episode after what I'm going over here. There's a reason behind that, and actually I'll let that cat out of the bag too. I'll give you guys all the dirt, so we won't have any spoilers going into the next the next event, excuse me. I want to bring in a new piece of talent. I think we've done a lot of invites. I've struggled with the invites not showing up. Hopefully in this card here, the invites show up. But for the 4-man tournament, I wanted to get at least an A-list, if not a superstar piece of new talent actually signed and add them into the 4-man tournament. I think we've had the same roster for quite a while now, and it would be nice to get some new blood and to make things exciting again, get somebody else in the mix. So that's what I want to do. If you recall, we tried to sign Sin Cara, and he declined, so that has locked us up for this current month. So we have to wait till the next month to be able to sign someone and to keep our fingers crossed that we can sign someone. But that's why I pushed the tournament off. So, back to business here. We follow up Matt Jackson and CM Punk. You're going to see brand new tag team FNB taking on the Orient Express for the Dream Championship Wrestling World Tag Team titles. FNB, look at this, guys. What do you think about that? I got a phone call a few days ago. Brock Lesnar landed back in America, told me he had been communicating with Brian Cage. They had the same trainer in Japan. They've struggled in singles. They want to combine forces and become FNB. Not quite sure what that stands for. If I ever figure it out, I'll let you know. But Brock Lesnar, Brian Cage against the Orient Express for the World Tag Team titles. I mean, on paper, Brock Lesnar and Brian Cage could be the next big thing since the Road Warriors. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really looking for, maybe that one should be the main event. So that is actually the Co main event. In the Co, we have Eddie Owens coming over from DFW. And something we haven't done a whole lot of, Claudio Castagnoli. He is going to defend his DFW title against Eddie Owens. We'll see if Eddie, who has never wrestled in Dream Championship Wrestling, can take that title back to DFW. Then with Super Lucha, we have the Super Lucha World Heavyweight Champion Miguel Hernandez coming into Dream. He is going to defend his title against Rob Van Dam, and we'll see if Rob can bring home another title, snatch another title for Dream Championship Wrestling. And then in the main event, we've hit Apollo Crews one other time. He is the current TFC Heavyweight Champion. That is our partner organization. And Apollo came in and just dominated. He looked unbelievable on his stat line. If you just look at him on paper, I don't know if he's ever lost. I mean, he's an unstoppable beast of a human being. Apollo Crews, then he came in against Asakawa, as I made note of there. Apollo Crews defending his title against Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, a couple matches ago, lost his world title, the Dream World title, to Claudio. Braun is still the AEW Heavyweight Champion, now looking to add the TFC Heavyweight title to his collection. Wow. So, what a card that is. I mean, 7 unbelievable matches. If everyone shows up, this could be the greatest event we've ever put on in the history of DCW. And merch-wise, I'm going to make sure I load up. I think instead of even going to that 5,000 tier, we're going to go up to the 10,000 tier because I think we can. And normally I do the merch before I put the card together. I think we'll put the card together, look what our expected attendance is going to be, and we're going to load up on merch. So I'm going to be spending a lot of money. But that's what you guys have to look forward to next Sunday, 6:05 Eastern. I can't wait for it. I hope this episode was somewhat enjoyable, just to give you kind of an inside peek. And I'll be completely honest with you, too. It was selfishly, it allowed me to kind of catch up a little bit, too, because I've had a lot of trouble cranking these episodes out. And I did promise 2 episodes this past week, and I did deliver. You got 2 episodes. We had our Sunday, and then we had a special Thursday night episode. It's hard to keep up with them, so this is going to allow me to catch up, maybe get a week ahead. And also, I thought it would be interesting. So hopefully it was. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. We would truly appreciate that. If you don't want to subscribe, just maybe hit the thumbs up button for us. Let YouTube know that, hey, something's going on over there on Kasugi Survives channel and Dream Championship Wrestling. And comments are always appreciated as well. So I appreciate you guys in general. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Man, I'm looking forward to next week. And I'll see you then.
If you will.